Oh, no, that's okay. Just talk like it's
And
a
we are
normal
rolling, so
conversation.
go whenever you guys are ready.
Hi, I'm Mike Boat right here with another interview on some truth behind the paranormal and different beliefs. And today here with me I have, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Reverend Stephen Ball with the Lohans Code Shaolin. Actually, the abbot. I'm an abbot of a few temples here in Las Vegas, as well as some parts of Los Angeles also.
How many of these? This is the only temple?
It's three locations here in Las Vegas.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. You run them all, or?
Well, I'm kind of the overseer. I run this one more direct than the other one.
Okay. Could you, if I ask you a little bit about what you represent or what your religion would be, or if there is a religion, or what grounds what you believe, what your beliefs are?
My personal beliefs, I teach a lot of different things. I would call it very eclectic, very studying with the Taoism a lot. I was raised Catholic, very, very Catholic. Wanted to be a Catholic priest at one time, and kissed a girl on a date, and I went out the window. And I was very involved. I'm also Native American, and as I got older, when I was about 12 years old, I got involved in martial arts. And the martial arts, Taoism and Buddhism are very prevalent, or actually that's where a lot of them started. And I started off with Taoism, which is the study of nature and the study of heaven. You might say heaven and earth, and a combination. In fact, the word Tao loosely translates as the presence of heaven. And somebody who's from a Christian Judeo background, the concept that God is everywhere and heaven is here, and that's where the Tao tries to follow that particular idea. And being Native American, I would watch the rituals, and they're very similar to the rituals I would see when I was a young man, just the words being different. Native Americans are very strong with the outdoor practice of spirituality, as was Taoism, because Taoism would deal with feng shui, the idea that just the energy, the concept of heaven runs through everything. If it does, trying to connect with that, we could connect with things that are happening in the distance and a future time before they happen. Studying that, as I studied that, and actually not until I moved here to Las Vegas, I met a lady who was a very devout Buddhist, studied at temple, and started talking to her, and for curiosity said, "Can you go for it? We're going to test for a priest. Could you join us?" So I did, and she said, "In fact, you finished the highest of everybody." And I said, "Well, there's a lot of similarity with the Buddhists and the Tao. There's so much crossover in both of them. The difference is that Buddhism tries to teach to be more pure."
Pure in what?
In what you do.
Okay.
And as a person, the Buddha, I would say, Buddha never said he was a son of God. He was just a teacher. His idea was that to purify yourself, you would actually understand what the presence of heaven was trying to say, or what God said. Because a lot of people say Buddhism doesn't believe in God, but that's not true. Buddha, what he didn't want to do, he didn't want to step on people's feet. The Hindus have a version of God. They see, there's like a God, but they see God. If you pray to God as a man, if you need help physically, like to say in battle or to raise the crops, you would see God as a man. If you needed to help your family or help your children if they were sick, you would see God as a woman. And so they actually believe in that. And what Buddha was trying to say that it doesn't matter what you believe in, if you don't purify yourself, and if you put the image of God out there, then you're worshiping something that's out there, not that idea that God goes through all of us, that he is part of us, that we're his children.
So Buddha never, he was not a god, he was just a man.
He just said it was a man. He said his idea was to actually supplement your faith.
Okay.
And being Buddhist
Kind of like a
that,
preacher, a minister?
Yeah, a minister.
To bring you closer to God?
Yes. And the idea is that, like when I tell my students, if you were raised a certain way, you should still believe that. The teachings of Buddhism is to teach you how to connect better with your faith is trying to tell you. And a lot of times you find there's so many similarities between that. In fact, being raised a Christian, I saw the similarities with Buddhism. I said, "Oh, this is what they were trying to say," not what people said. Because I don't believe a lot of ministers, you might want to say.
A lot of organized religion.
Yes, because this is the greatest thing. The one who made me see that so clear was Charlie Manson. I mean, he used the Bible to justify his murder of these people. And if you look at it, he was perfectly right.
Enlighten me a little bit. I'm a little curious about that.
Yeah.
How you?
Well, he talked about, he used the Bible, the Helter Skelter, the Four Angels, which were the Beatles.
Okay.
I mean, he put in words, and he used verses from the Bible to justify his murders. So he was going to start the future. The future was supposed to have the rapture and everything. He was going to start working in that direction because mankind was too slow.
On a positive side, or
No, he was definitely on the negative side.
That's what I
definitely on the negative side. But then I read the book, and the same day I put the book down, I was saying, oh my God, he used the Bible, and I think that's wrong, just like the same way they bombed 911. Same thing, he used God to do negative things. I turned on the TV, and Jerry Falwell is on there, and I'm listening to him, and he's saying the same thing to make money for himself. There's no difference what he did, what he's doing, and what Charlie Manson was doing.
Using God to make a profit is completely wrong. You're not supposed to do
Exactly.
this. It's almost like blasphemy.
Well, you see, and myself working at hospice, I would see these poor people eating dog food and nothing because they gave all their money to the temple or to the church.
Yeah.
I saw that a lot. I saw that.
It's a sad thing. I mean, I sometimes donate my time to convalescent homes where I go and play games with them and I
Right.
play bingo and I enjoy it. These people are wonderful people, you know.
Right.
As my parents, you know, they're both still alive and living, thank the Lord, at this point. They just celebrated their 56th wedding anniversary. And, you know, we're living in Toronto, they're doing great. And, but you know, as growing up, I saw many different things. I experienced many different things. So my experiences in watching what the world is really presenting or projecting are my questions.
Right.
So as I am a non-denominational Christian, and I don't go to church simply because I don't believe in organized religion, but I do claim Christ as Jesus Christ as my Savior.
Right.
So as for you, and asking you in Jesus Christ's name, what God is it that you follow? The same God that I follow.
Yeah, and I told people ask me that. They say, "Do you believe in Jesus?" I said, "Yeah." Do you pray to him? I said, "I try to pray to the same God Jesus prayed to."
So you pray through Jesus Christ to the Lord.
Well, I prayed, like when he said, "Our Father who art in heaven," he didn't say, "I am God, I am in heaven." He didn't say that. He prayed to somebody bigger.
So
So that's why I try to follow. I believe in his words, and the thing that I like to look between the lines, and I think what did that was looking at Helter Skelterness and made me look at the Bible a different way.
What exactly was he referring to justify his murders in the Bible?
Was the war at the end, when there was a war about the Antichrist coming in, and it wasn't happening fast enough, that he was trying to have, and that was, remember in the 70s, a lot of the racial wars going on and all that stuff, and it was very traumatic.
And he wanted to come sooner than his.
Yes, and he wanted, because he thought he was a Messiah.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. And you know, I can't say that I actually believe that anybody is able to walk across water,
Right.
except for Christ himself. I hear a lot of different opinions, but the Holy Bible, people, there's so many different variations and so many religions.
Right. Well, let me tell you, I was married. My last marriage, I was married to an Israeli.
Okay.
And I would say, out of curiosity, because I think another thing that shocks me, and I like to study things. I looked at the Torah and I thought, oh my goodness, the beginning is the same. The beginning is the same with Abraham, the Old Testament. And I said, translate it for me, because I had a King James, another Bible, the Good News for Modern Man. I started looking at it and said, well, they're different. I said, do me a favor, translate this for me. Translate the Torah. And she started to, and boy, you can see a lot of changes.
From the King James to the Torah.
Yeah. So almost all of them.
Is there, what kind of changes were made? Do you remember?
Well, then one of them was that really bothered me at first. It said in the beginning that God's created, because the Hebrew tradition has a definite word for God is great or God is plural. And it was changed to make it God is great and not God is plural. It's very definite in the way they write.
So the original Torah said the gods.
The gods created the heavens and earth.
Wow.
That was like a shock. Yeah. And there was a lot of other things I was going through.
Would they be considered God the Father and God the
No,
Son?
then God is, the jealous God is our God, the God that rules earth. Controls
But
earth.
yeah, I mean, they talk of, I've heard and read about where Christ himself actually is the creator of the people and the earth, and God, his Father, gave him that. So was it something that could have been created by God the Father and God the Son together?
Could be. That's a whole different way of looking at it. I got to look into that. That's good. That's very, very good.
The gods.
Because every religion has a Messiah.
Sure.
Every Buddhism has their Maitreya.
Which one is the
looking
one? That's up to the
Well,
individual.
it's up to the individual, and I also say it's up to people who believe in his real teachings, not the teachings other people have changed to make his teachings.
Correct.
Because I tell you, in hospice, people would say they use the Jesus name, and I said, tell me something about Jesus. They can't. They said, we just worship his name. I said, worshiping a name is like worshiping a statue. No difference.
Like an idol.
Yeah, I said worshiping a name and worshiping a statue. Like same, and I said besides Jesus, was his real name. It wasn't. It was Yahshua, which I found in the Hebrew tradition means God's son. Good hallelujah means praise be God. So Yah is the name for God.
I'm sure you hear a lot of people probably say that he was just a holy master. He was not the son of God.
Well, you get, it depends upon the way the person said, because when they say, I'm bothered by God's only son, because we're all God's children. by saying that, they're telling people you can never be as great as Jesus, so why even try?
And you believe that we can?
Yeah, I think that's what Jesus was trying to tell us. He was trying to say, follow my footsteps, be like me, and you can be
Walk in
one
Christ.
of God. Yes. But by what other people's misconception or what they talk about Jesus, all of a sudden they put a block on it. Just like so many people I know, so many organized religion will not let Jesus come back. Because no matter who comes back, if he really comes back, he's going to be labeled automatically as Antichrist. The way I hear so many people talk.
Well, the true Christians will know.
I don't know about that, because you talk to a lot of people who claim they're true Christians, and they're the bigger hypocrites I know.
Maybe the ones that really are inside that we can't tell.
Yes.
Will know the difference.
Yeah, and I've met those too.
Well, they say Satan's
I've met
very
a lot of
powerful.
those.
He's a very powerful demon, and he can certainly pose as the angel of light.
Right, because that's what he is. That's his name.
And people misconcept him being that he's a very ugly, horned creature when he was God's most beautiful angel.
Exactly.
And I try to explain that to people. He was God's most beautiful angel. So why are you coming up with pictures that are ugly?
Right.
So,
Well, in Buddhism, they say that a lot of times, they call Mara, they call the devil.
sorry?
Mara
Mara.
is the devil. And that aspect is actually inside of us already. And sometimes, we call it original sin or what, but it's the idea that we do the things that draw us away. Because the idea with Taoism, the biggest concept, they say the biggest illusion is thinking there's a separation between us and heaven or us and God. That's the world's greatest illusion. There is no separation. He's here, God's here. God's everywhere, God's here. And that's a big misconception that a lot of people have. I just lost my train of thought. I get so excited. I get so excited.
No, I do too when I talk about the Lord. So if I might just change the channel a little bit and talk about some of the these things that people worship, or are these things that?
Well, that's, the biggest, it's like in Christianity, I would say like the time of when they were killing people of all different faiths, they didn't believe in Christianity. Like even in England, they were killing people because they worship. Priests were murdering each other because they worship on a Saturday or Sunday. That was ridiculous. What happened when you see with most Buddhist tradition now, the most popular being the Pure Land and some of the Zen schools, the concept was different. It was more the pure idea. The idea was a teaching to try to get you into a right path.
Okay.
What happened is when the Portuguese, they started bringing Christianity over to China, all of a sudden, people were going away. They were going toward their faith. They were losing people, and they were losing dollars. The whole thing was about money. So if you realize all of a sudden what happened with the Buddhists, all of a sudden they made Jesus. They made Kuan Yin, the Virgin Mary. They did all this stuff. In fact, if you hear a lot of their songs today, to me they sound like Christian hymns. It's so deteriorated. Buddhism has deteriorated so much, what it was supposed to be. And I tell people that. I tell Buddhists when I see them to their face, and boy, they get so upset at me because these are people that are studying now. They're supposed to be high-ranked people. And I said, I got a pretty high rank too, and I'm telling you, this is what you guys are following the wrong path.
Wow. So you are.
I'm a rebel. In fact, they used to call me the Mad Monk. When I
Who's
was,
a rebel?
there's a picture of me that when I was at temple, they used to call me the Mad Monk.
That's you right here?
Yeah.
Wow, you haven't changed very much, other than you grew your hair out. So, if I could stay looking that young, I'd be just as happy.
Yeah, somebody dropped that off in the front, and I don't know where it came from. They just dropped it. The freaky things, the eyes follow you, and it freaks me out because of me. The eyes follow me everywhere.
So you're a true believer in Christ, then?
Yeah, I believe in Jesus.
And
Well, and I believe in Christ. There's a whole difference.
as I do myself. I claim him as my Savior,
Right.
and know that his return is coming. I believe so.
Right. But I don't believe in the way most Christians believe. And I always tell people, they always tell me, believe in Jesus? I said, yes, but I don't believe the way most Christians believe. And I tell you what, they're ready to kill you. And I said, why? You sound like you're ready to kill me. Like this, aren't you not supposed to believe in that?
See, it shouldn't matter because your faith is where it is, with
Yeah.
God. Because one of these people out there are the ones that they're not your creator. They're not going to save your soul.
Right.
Only God's going to save
Right.
your soul. I believe.
But the situation I run into hospitals when I work with these people, they get so angry.
Talking about it.
Yeah, about something different. I'll tell you one story when I was in the hospital. I went and talked to this one gentleman, and I like to go in. I go in. I had to reset. Sometimes I have my native earring on, and I go in. And they look at me and they say, "You're a reverend?" I said, "Yeah, you're not going to start preaching me on you." And it kind of opens them up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I try to do is I try to find their faith, because everybody believed in God at one time.
Mm-hmm.
If they're Jewish, I'm not going to try to convert them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to get them to find God in their own particular way. At least open the door for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one gentleman I went to, and his wife says, no, she's been married since World War II, and this guy will not talk about religion or spirituality or God. So I said, I talked to him, and we had a great conversation. She came in, and she went to the market and said, well, what faith are you? I said, I'm all denominations. And she goes, no, what kind of a priest are you? I said, I'm all denominations, I believe in everything. And she goes, I believe everybody has some part of truth. And she goes, right. I said, I'm Buddhist. And she said, get out of here. I said, sure? And she said, yeah, just get out. So I left, didn't think nothing of it. And I was going to one of the convalescent homes. And I was in one of the hospitals where people rehab. So I'm walking through, this is about 3 months later. And he passed away that night, by the way. I walked, and all of a sudden I see this elderly lady. She gets up, she runs, like walks to me, and she's having trouble. She falls on her knees. She says, you're Steve. I said, yeah. She goes, I want your forgiveness. Please forgive me. And I said, what happened? She said, I had a heart attack. And I asked God, don't let me die until I ask you for forgiveness. I said, why? He said, whatever you told my husband, for the first time ever, he believed in God. She said, all these years, he would never even talk about it. And this is the first time he believed in God when he died that night. She said, I wanted to thank you. I felt so bad that I threw you out. She said, here's somebody that actually made contact. He made him believe. Something that I tried, she said, I tried taking the church and ministers, and nothing would convert him.
Takes a true Christian and believer in God to actually let people see the light through your eyes, not that you're making them believe in anything.
Right. Exactly.
But again, you're open.
But sometimes they're open. Like another guy named Ed that I loved, and Ed was 90 years old, and he was. I went to his house, and he told me he was raised a devout Catholic. He was raised in New York. You know, he was and I started talking to him, and I said, what's going on like that? And he first is one of the same guys that, you know, he said, oh, I told him you're not going to start preaching to me because I don't look like your typical reverend, you know. So he goes, I tell you, Steve, I'm praying all the time. I don't believe. I said, what do you mean? I said, don't you just talk to God? He goes, no, I'm doing all the prayers because he's raised Catholic. A lot of times I go through the gambit, you might say. He said, I don't believe. I said, did you ever believe? He goes, yeah, when I was a little boy, I was in a choir, like to be in a boys' choir. I said, well, you try singing your prayers? He goes, I never thought of that. And he goes, he said, I'm like 90-something years old. He goes, I haven't sang that since I was like 8 years old. He said, it's been a long time. I said, hey, do you remember this hymn? Da 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 da. I was still going through it. It was like this. Da da da. He goes, he started singing it in Latin. And he stood up, and you know, his wife was saying, and she came in the room, and she called me the other day, and his wife passed away like 5 years ago. She goes, and I saw like heaven open up for him. Boom. And his face was there again. And he was so happy because he believed in Jesus, he believed in God again. He just like, he connected him. And that's my job, is to try to find the same way. Try to find the same. Open up that.
It's not to tell people what to believe in.
Yeah.
It's just to open it up so they can actually find a connection.
Yeah.
That's an awesome thing. As far as paranormal goes, when a person does pass, what do you believe happens to the body, the soul, and the spirit?
I believe, and I got to tell you that this is the thing that bothers me about a lot of organized religion. I've been there for people who husbands are ministers, the wives are the other way around, both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were dying, they were terrified. If you have such strong God, you're a minister and you have such faith, you should be happy to die.
You're not afraid.
Not to be yeah. But you'd be amazed how many of these I run into. I mean, I'm amazed how many I run into. And they're faith, because when I see them when they die, and that light tunnels opens up, they're not going to do it. And I said, why are you afraid to die? And they said, because God is angry at me, because it's pure and everything. And if you have faith, it would get rid of your cancer. The cancer to get rid of it. And they still still dying of cancer.
Apparently it was their time.
Yeah, but you know, it's really hard to get to that. They thought they were impure because their religion or their sect told them that they weren't going to.
So a lot of people believe that they are pure because they're a minister, as you said.
Well, what I'm saying is
We all walk with sin.
Yeah, and we're all human. We still make mistakes.
We're all going to die with sin.
And everybody has their secrets. You know, everybody has their secrets. And to me, that goes away the idea that is God a loving God or not a loving God? And I believe He is a loving God. Because I see it like this. I love my children. I don't care how bad they are. There's no way I'm going to cast them to hell or something. If I do that, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I believe that the same thing will mist around to religion to try to make people afraid of God. Because I forgot what I was going to say before. When people ask me what sin is fear and doubt. And that when people, they don't cross over because they're afraid of God or they have doubt, they're going to go there.
So do you believe that when a person says that their soul and spirit remain here?
It could get stuck. The light tunnel opens for them, and different things happen. The movie Ghost is a very good example of what I can see. you know. And a lot of times what happens, if somebody dies, they're either afraid, somebody says, don't leave me, like in the movie, he was told, don't leave,
Mhm.
and he stayed behind. Even though God was there trying to call him, he didn't go over that light.
Is there the soul and the spirit, are they the same? Do you believe that they're the same?
No.
You believe they're separate? The body, the soul, the mind, and the spirit.
They're completely different.
The spirit
Just like
of God.